I'm gonna record it. Okay, here we go. Meeting is being recorded. Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here. I know we are expecting quite a few others, but we've gone ahead and start the recording for them so that they don't miss these very important introductions and the welcome to you all. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared. Okay, so today is our first Student Basic Needs Guiding Team meeting. And I'm very excited about this meeting and to have you all here with us today. My name is Ariane Jet Seals, and I am the Senior Fellow for Basic Needs with the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative, which is a part of the Council on Post-Secondary Education. We've been doing a lot of great work across the state since the collaborative's beginning, and we are excited to now have you all join us as the kickoff team that is going to be representing us as a part of this guiding team that is going to provide some great important work and insights on our projects that we have going forward for this first year. Everyone signed a letter of commitment and understood the timelines and everything. There'll be some opportunity at the end for question and answers if you have some questions about any of that. But I wanted to get started with some introductions and get to know this group as we will be working very closely together on these projects. I have just a few on here. So we'll go through that kind of quickly. But we want to know your name, your institution, and your role. And one challenge related to student basic needs that you're passionate about addressing. I think that kind of question and answer will help us to understand what drives each and every one of us and how we can align our efforts with the challenges that we're facing, things that we see the need to be done across the state, and what we're most eager to tackle, and how we can just combine our efforts and just also see what you have to offer and where some of your passions may line as it follows with our projects. So again, I'm Ariane Jet Seals. I am the Senior Fellow for Basic Needs here at the Collaborative. And if I had to answer the question, one challenge that I'm passionate about addressing, there are so many, but I would say housing. I'd say housing is a big one right now because we realize how much of a challenge it is across the state as a whole. And so when we have students, when we have parenting students, and students that fall into several other categories, these populations are even much more impacted by the lack of affordable housing across the state. So it is an area that I'm very passionate about. I would like to bounce it to Lily Massa McKinley because she is our AVP, and I would like for you to take the time to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Ariane. Hi, everyone. I'm Lily Massa-McKinley, Assistant Vice President for Student Success at the Council and the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative. And let's see, an issue I'm really passionate about with basic needs. Gosh, really all of them. It's hard to pick. They've all been really exciting to learn about and really understand from the student's perspective. I would say that, let's see, I am going to have to pick. Pathways into, so one of the partnerships that we've really worked on has been the Connector Partnership. And that one has been really exciting because it just seems it's not low-hanging fruit, but the screening of students for some of the public benefit programs just seems like something that that we can do as just a step in the process to help students who are eligible to access some of those benefits. And so that has been something that I know it is a part of our strategy. We now have a great partnership with the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, and we're looking to expand that. And so that's been really exciting to see that come to fruition. And even though, we're continuously working to improve that initiative and partnership, there's certainly so much great potential there for our students. And then I will pass it to our wonderful research fellow, Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia Morris Bush, and I'm the Student Basic Needs Research Fellow. And I work with the collaborative. And I would say one issue that I'm really passionate about is probably like evaluating like effective interventions for student basic needs. I feel like it's really important to make data informed decisions, but also balance that with student testimonials and student voice. So I'm really passionate about looking at those two issues and making sure that like the research that we're conducting or assessing ensures that students are like put first and just making sure that they're able to get the needed resources that they're in need of. So I feel like mine is kind of all over the place, but
Thank you. Go ahead and pass to someone for us, Olivia.
let's go with Sarah Young. Hi, Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Sorry, I was muted. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Young. I'm with Gateway Community and Technical College here in Northern Kentucky. My role is Community Resource Coordinator. So I basically oversee all the non-academic barriers that students face: housing, childcare, food insecurity, all that. I run the pantries here. We have 4 pantries. And I also oversee our student emergency fund. So a big concern for me, obviously, is food insecurity and like financial emergencies. I have students that come to me when, they're being evicted the next day. And if early intervention could happen, that's one thing that I would like to see more of here. But I'm only one person. So yeah, I would say financial emergencies and early intervention would be some big key points I'd like to talk about too.
Now popcorn it to someone, Sarah.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I'm Allison Cernulka. It might be email or on your list is Allison McCann, but I'm Assistant Director of Fitness and Wellness at Campus Recreation at EKU. And our Dean of Students, Laura Vance, looped me into this. And I would say that housing comes to mind. Not only affordable housing, but I just think it's so important for students and people to have a place where they feel safe and comfortable that they can go to at the end of the day. I think that provides a sense of security.
Thank you, Allison. We have Erica.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Erica Farmer, and I work at Southeast Kentucky Community and Technical College. And I recruit and advise. I work closely with community partners. And what I would love to see, I guess if you ask what I'm more passionate about most, I love to see students get a second chance or a third or fourth. And by saying that is I want, to get them work, get their foot in the door and show people, that, hey, I'm recovered. Hey, I am, I'm not the same person I used to be. And get them out there, get them working, and let the community see that, recovery does work. It is real. And not only recovery, or just rebounding from maybe a bad childhood or a rough start, but to just show the community that they are able to work, they're willing to work, and everybody, me, you, everybody deserves a second chance. And that's what I love to see students be able to do. And I work really hard with employers, to prove that for the students. I go to bat for them all the time. And so I'm very passionate about that, is, helping students get back on their feet. And, um, students here, we're so limited in Harlan. We're such a small town, and you make one mistake, and it's like some people just want you to live that mistake for the rest of your life. And that's not fair. That's not life. That's not fair. And so I'm very passionate about that, Ariana, but you know that because me and you've worked together a long time. But that's kind of my spiel this morning, and I wish that for every student that I come in contact with.
So thank you so much for that, Erica. And yes, it is. I'm excited to be working with you again in this very important platform and team that we're going to have. So we'll have some fun again, Erica. So let me get this slide going. And want to just review the collaborative. Most of you all got those letters turned around and signed very quickly, but there were links that were included that provided an overview of who we are, what we do, as well as our grant. But I wanted to make sure that we took an opportunity to kind of review that again for the sake of making sure everyone has a great understanding of our purpose and why you are here. So we'll start with who we are as the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative. Our mission is building capacity of higher education partners to accelerate progress on student success. Our vision, we bring people together to support one another, share new ideas, scale what's working, and inspire a culture of continuous improvement. And the collaborative and campus partners are working to increase completion rates, eliminate equity gaps, and enhance economic mobility for students. So in helping to make sure that you'll have a good understanding of the work that's been done, how we've got to these points, and why we're making the choices that we're making, I have the 2 objectives that came out of the Student Basic Needs Report a couple of years ago. And where we are. So we're looking at objective number 1, and that is increasing access to basic needs supports for students. There are a few recommendations, as you can see, that was also listed in your letter, but I want to make sure that we have that. Recommendation number 1 is implementing basic needs screening and benefits eligibility screening for students. We've begun some work. Some of you all might have even gotten some of my emails, depending on the departments that you work in. We've been reviewing a lot of the screeners that are being passed around and are being shared with one another to see, like, what others are doing on their campuses, how we can improve our current screeners. But even more so now, we're looking at how effective the screeners are. With one of our last community of practice meetings, we discussed, improving those, making sure that they had a great follow through. They showed people information and not just asked a bunch of questions, that it provided an immediate response, I say. And so a lot of folks have had some inquiries and, hey, we're excited about this. We want to learn more. And so we're trying to build that out. Recommendation number 2 is reviewing state public benefit plans and programs to increase flexibility for post-secondary students. I think Lily already kind of touched on that some with the areas of her interest and passion. Well, one of her areas and interests and passions as it applies to student basic needs. And we've been doing a lot of work. We have a lot of great partners, both at the state of Kentucky as well as nationally, that are helping to review our public plans and our policies, looking at how to make these programs more accessible to our students, and focus on areas such as closing the SNAP gap. So recommendation number 3 is increasing staff capacity of colleges and universities to provide basic needs support to students. I heard it loud and clear. I am one person, right? But you are covering several pantries, and you're doing the resource coordination and everything, Sarah. And so with looking at, partnerships with CHFS, and having the opportunity to have connectors on campus and even providing trainings that we're looking at having built out, we're hoping to be able to increase that staff capacity so that individuals who are doing the work for these students are able to reach more students and be able to do their work more effectively and efficiently. Recommendation 4 is provide training and PD for college and university staff, faculty to provide accurate information and consistent support to students. Much like was just said, as many as people as we can get trained on resources, information, navigating how to support these students and the different populations, the more that we can all together have all hands on deck. We can all support our students, and this goes from folks in financial aid offices to advisors who may be practicing not just academic advising, but they may be doing a little bit of holistic advising and making sure, hey, how's your housing looking? Have you eaten? I'm seeing your grades are struggling. Is this any way connected? And then have that staff member trained on, here are resources, this information available. We want to make sure that the information is accurate and consistent, because there's just so much out there that has been found in one of the recent reports that some of it is not available anymore. Some of it may have been old or outdated, or the information provided wasn't quite right as far as like locations or timing or the services offered. And so we're working with a communications group that has been formed, and we're looking at being able to get information that students need, that staff and faculty need, so that they can help themselves, help one another, and help those that they serve. So looking at our guiding teams, our purpose and goals is we want to look at, and I should have edited that slide, you guys, my apologies. We want to look at the team's role, which is to provide strategic guidance and problem solving. We want to look at how you all's roles and the responsibilities that you have are going to be able to assist us in guiding priorities, addressing challenges, communicating work and progress to our stakeholders, to those campuses that we partner with, to those community partners that we have across the state. We also want to look at enhancing partnerships and collaboration across the state and across our systems. And how can we provide support in shaping some of these processes? So this group, this guiding team, like it's all in the name. We have a couple different groups that are there. It's going to be to guide and advise what we have going on as this group. Before I go to the key initiatives and current projects, I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Lily, is there anything that you think we should add in for the guiding team here as far as just the purpose and the goals?
Thanks, Ariane. We also have guiding teams for our other strategy areas. And so for transfer, and we will be establishing them for Gateway Core Success and Adult Attainment. And so what I say for our transfer guiding team is they really help us prioritize. There's so much that we can do. There's so much that we want to do. So the guiding team from the campus voice, really helps prioritize what's most important right now. And they also help us with problem solving. And so really when we hit barriers, when we hit obstacles, when we hit kind of just like really complex issues, our campus partners with those boots on the ground can really bring that perspective of how to wrestle with some of the challenges that we face and with the problem solving lens that we need at the state level, I think, to help us really move forward. And then the other piece of this is also the communication back to the campus. And that's not just your own campus, because this is a representative body, but it's broadly out to our campus partners and stakeholders. And so really, please consider yourselves representative of the broad campus voice here in Kentucky. And thank you so much for serving in this really important role and this important position. And so, when you go back out to your campuses and you're meeting with other colleagues on other campuses, or you're meeting in peer teams with, the KCTCS system or whatnot, that you're sharing the work that is happening at the state level around student basic needs with other colleagues, so that you can help raise awareness of the state level strategy and the state level priorities going on around student basic needs. So that's kind of how I frame the work of the guiding team. It's around prioritizing, problem solving, and communications, in addition to, of course, the guidance and the helping us shape the work and the implementation support and collaboration.
Thank you for that, Lily. This is kind of just a layout of the grant.
Oh, real quick, Ariane, do you also do kind of a complimentary around the guiding team and the senior fellows? Are you going to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for that reminder. Because I didn't necessarily break it out into a slide, but that definitely is a part of it. So yeah. So the senior fellows will also be another group that'll be a part of actually doing some of the work. And we're looking at hiring, it'll be five senior fellows, and they will do some work that'll align and support our team's efforts in implementing the student basic needs strategies. And so we'll look at some of the different, like I have this up right now. So we have some data work to be done. We have the communication and a group and team, and we may have a fellow to work with the communication group and team as far as, how are we reaching our students? What are the questions that we're asking? How we're providing the information? And so those senior fellows, we're looking at getting them hired fairly soon to be able to do some of the focused work. And we will have them to join us on some of these meetings so that we can make sure that everything is aligning well with the guidance that is provided from this group and the work that they're actually doing. And when I think about the work that is being done and what we are doing, the things that you'll be guiding on, that breaks down some of those projects that you just saw in those circles there. The major projects include the data and research project. Here it is listed out in a few different phases. Lily, thank you for that, because it's really helpful for especially some of the newcomers that are not as familiar with where we are in our phases. So phase one would look at the statewide data dashboard and working with CP data team, working with KY Stats, working with Hope Center. Olivia has joined us and will be doing a lot of great work with being able to gather the research team to bring to fruition some of these research briefs. That is in phase two, focusing on the student voice research that is in phase three, and then looking at the predictive data model for which is going to be phase four, because we don't want to just collect the information. We don't want to just know it. We want to use that to be more effective. We want to use that to improve our policies. We want to use it to improve our work. And so that is what our data and research project looks like. And then our communication project, if we look at phase one, it has the ecosystem and asset mapping. It is looking at what we currently have across our campuses, what we currently have as resources in our communities, how we're meeting the needs of these students. Looking at phase two, we're looking to have a one-stop web page template that would be created so that all of the campuses who are interested in partnering and using this service can take that template and put it into your resource website, your web page, so that you can make sure all the things that we kind of discussed earlier in one of our recommendations, that it is aligned with resources that are actually available, that the information is up to date, that it has both off-campus as well as on-campus resources so that we can wrap those students in all of their needs and the resources to meet all of their needs. And then phase 3, we're looking at the basic needs 101 training. So this is part of that training that we want to have provided for our stakeholders. So we can know, how do I help the students? What is the information that's out there? We've heard information about, passions that surround around fooding or emergency funding, housing. Well, that's the issue that I see when I'm serving my students, but what are the resources? How do I connect them to the resources? How do I follow up with these students? Maybe how do I even ask and engage them? So that basic needs 101 training, we're looking at being able to equip all of our stakeholders with this information so that they can help students and, not just hand students off because, sometimes we have opportunity to meet with students and we don't know what to do. We don't know where to go. Students will, as we found in the research, will go to their trusted person, and it's not going to always be the basic needs coordinator. It's not going to always be the person in the counseling center. It may be their advisor. It may be their English professor. So we want to make sure that this training equips all individuals to know how to help these students when they come and have those very important and vulnerable conversations. So we're excited about that. And then looking at phase 4, that is the student testimonial campaign. When we look at basic needs and resources that are provided, we also still find a number of students who do not access them, although they have some of the information. And there's just a lot of stigma attached to it. And there's also a lot of students that constantly think, oh, I shouldn't take it because, someone else may need it more than I do. I'll let everybody else go and get that resource or visit that pantry and get that food, or maybe I can find another way. If we can get student testimonials to be engaging and sharing, their experiences and what they've seen and the resources, it can be very encouraging and enlightening to other students that, they don't have to be ashamed to reach out to access the services and use these services. They also can know that it is okay, that yes, there may be someone else out there that needs the services, but they also need it too, and it's okay for them to use those services. And so we're very excited about being able to get the student testimonial campaign going because it is really going to positively impact all of these other areas that we're working on. The Child Care Solutions Project, we are really in this really deep right now. And we're looking at phase 1, which is reviewing and analyzing the current child care landscape analysis for the state of Kentucky. We need to have a great, idea of what things are looking like. We're learning so much about not just campus resources that are out there for parenting students, but also what is in the community as well as what's not there. And the more that we learn, we're able to prepare ourselves for phase 2 for the stakeholder interviews and having conversations to know what it is that is needed, what's currently happening on our campuses and in our communities, and how it's being effective, what needs to change. And phase 3, we're looking at forming the Child Care Solutions Network, and this will be a more focused group specifically for the Child Care Solutions project. And, these individuals will be stakeholders on campuses. These will be partners in the community that are committed to child care, early child care and childhood work. And then we're looking at phase 4, which is the child care access and strategies. How do we improve it? How do we not just look at the policy changes, but add to what we currently have as far as resources and childcare facilities? How do we expand the services and the reach of what we currently have and add to it?
And Arian, I would just add to this that one, we know there's a lot happening in Kentucky around childcare. And so, but what there is not a lot talk about is the parenting student and the post-secondary kind of situation. And how do we increase access to post-secondary education for adults with dependents? And so that is why we have a whole scope of work around it. And so we want to partner with those folks that also care about childcare, but they're not, but we just want to make sure that it is inclusive of helping increase access to post-secondary education. And then the last here, phase 4, that includes some grant dollars that we have from our ECMC grant to hopefully really help our partners, both campus partners as well as community-based partners, increase the spots, like increase the availability of childcare, or potentially increase, the funding or the affordability of childcare for parenting students. So those are just 2 pieces to contextualize that. And just one other, it's a tangential piece to this, but we are working on another partnership with adult education, because they are very committed to leveraging their funding stream to its maximum potential, which does include age-appropriate educational services for all dependents of adult learners in their programs. And so we're really trying to think creatively about what that can look like, and especially when we have community colleges that host adult education sites, how can we leverage the funding of adult education to provide more educationally appropriate services to students that are participating in their programs. So more to come on that.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much for that, Lily. Those are all really important pieces. That even as we go into like priority setting and looking at, what our priorities are for this year, the time that you would be serving on this guiding team, the Child Care Solutions Project is gonna be, a big one that we will focus on, especially like I mentioned, we're getting really deep into the work right now. And we'd want to look at this group supporting the conversation around the data dashboard and the research briefs. Looking at, let me also stop there. Lily, there was a mention, because I have it in my notes somewhere and I was looking for it. We were wanting the guiding team to advise with the faculty research folks. Were we looking to have them select that? I feel like I had that in a note for this group.
I think what I'm doing with the transfer guiding team, for example, is asking the guiding team to really help flesh out what are our research questions that we want answered. And then we're putting together this request for proposals, which we have some funding to kind of have faculty researchers propose qualitative or mixed method student voice research around the research questions that we identify would be most valuable to our project. Now, with the ECMC funds, that's very specific to parenting student voice research. With the James Graham Brown funds, that's much more open. And so just depending on how many faculty research projects you would like to manage at one time, you can just start with the ECMC one and down the road add others, like in year 2, add a different one or whatnot. So yeah, what does that research, how do you want to frame that research question around parenting students and their experiences, their needs? But yeah, the guiding team can really help inform what are the right questions to ask? What do we really need to learn from the parenting student's perspective? And also from the adult with dependence perspective who's not yet a student. I think you want to always ask this from both the person who is currently a student and the person that's not yet. And that's the harder population to get at, but that's really what are the barriers to even joining us here in post-secondary education. But I think that the adult ed partnership might allow us to access that population a little bit, with some of the folks that are working on their GED or whatnot who might have interest in post-secondary but haven't yet started.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And then that ties into the pieces that would assist the childcare work as a part of that communications piece and gathering that information. So launching that communications work with our campus partners and getting with our students across the state. So our work is going to really focus on those areas. I want to take the time, and again, I'm trying to watch. We have a good amount of time to open the floor for questions, comments, suggestions. Again, we want to make sure, this work is going to be very important. It's very vital to what we are doing with all of this basic needs work across the state. So I want to make sure that we've provided an opportunity for everyone on this call to go ahead and ask your questions, share your comments or suggestions, and we'll make notes of these and get some of these questions asked so that we can start off strong as a team.
Ariane, will this actual PowerPoint be available?
Yes, I can share this to the group.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Ariel, this is Erica. So what exactly are my next steps for my group? Like, what do you need me to do like right now?
Good question. I'm pulling out my screen here. So our next steps, we have a few meetings that are coming up, and we are creating an agenda for this group. One of the first areas that we want to focus on is, as mentioned, the Child Care Solutions Project. We're going to be, I have Carrie Helton that I'm working with TICAS on that project, and I'm getting some more detailed information on where we stand with like the analysis and putting together our research questions. What I want to do is bring back to the group, there'll be some communications via email and things like that, because our meetings, are every other month, where I am saying, this is what we're looking at. This is what we have. Can you please review, give your insight, give your guidance and your feedback. So it's definitely going to start there with the work with she and I. So I definitely say, put a star, mark me as favorite, whatever your program or your emailing system is, because where we only meet every other month, we definitely want to make sure that we're able to make the best use of our time to email. Of course, you can call me at any time, but I'm going to be sending that information out to you all to be able to review and give guidance on how this is going to go. One of the other pieces that is going to come from that would be an immediate piece is the funding that is going to come from that. Lily, I don't know if that's what you were making reference to earlier, because I know there's a couple of different pieces of funds, but there will be some mini grants that'll be given. And there has to be applications created, and we need to make sure that we are looking, creating the applications in a good manner in which it is asking the really important questions of what we need to know. What are our campuses doing? How are they invested? How will they be able to, provide, manage the work, look at the data, and then who would we award these grants to? So that's another big piece that is going to come out of the work that we're doing, and the earlier work with the Child Care Solutions that's being done, and would definitely lead into this team for that.
I think that this team will also probably in the early phase, because the grants for childcare are probably going to be year 2 or year 3, Ariane, don't you? I mean, probably year 2, don't you think? Like with the timeline of when will be, well, we can figure out some of that, but the data dashboard is definitely something that the guiding team will be a part of reviewing some of those KPIs and giving insight related to metrics that will be very much of value at the campus level, but also how does this measure the impact of our overall work on this state level strategy, and also some of the research questions that we have. I think Olivia is going to be bringing a lot of ideas to this guiding team for different deep dives that she can do in the research, in the KY Stats kind of data platform, data system. And she'll want your feedback. What are some of our big questions that we have? We can learn so much about how benefits impact student success, or how, regionally, what are some of our biggest, opportunity areas, or, so I think that there's some good data things that'll be happening early on with this guiding team. In my experience with transfer, we started with data. Because data can really also lead you to interventions and lead you to the opportunities of what you might want to do next. But yes, this group definitely as a helpful decision-making body around grant applications, resource allocation, that kind of a thing. And also the connection points, because the communications campaign, helping bring together the groups, when we have Ariane, if you're still going to be doing some of the trauma-informed care work, when we might bring in an ecosystem mapping workshop, for the communications project. This guiding team, I think, will probably be really helpful in some of the communications with bringing in the right campus partners, or at least helping set the framework for all of the basic needs priority topics that we need included in the template. We could bring in the Hope Center, who we anticipate being our partner in that project, and the Hope Center using you all as the focus group to map, what does this ecosystem map really need to, what's the framework we're going to use? And so you all would be the voice that would help build the framework for them to facilitate the workaround. I will say that the biggest difference between the guiding team and the senior fellows is that the guiding team is what it says. Like, you guys are advisors. We don't anticipate giving you a lot of homework. We don't anticipate asking you to do a ton more meetings than what is here on this screen right now. We want you to have a pretty standard time commitment and expectation, and you show up as our thought partners, and we pick your brain hard in these meetings. And then you go back and, we will probably give you some next steps or some things to do, but it shouldn't be a ton. The senior fellows, on the other hand, are going to be a team of folks, a small team, 5 people or so, but they're going to have more like get your hands dirty project-based work. And that's how we're going to kind of get some things rolling and get some things done. So just in kind of seeing your role as a thought partner and an advisor on this guiding team is what, is the idea of the guiding team versus the senior fellows.
That was a good piece of information. Any other questions? Well, I can go ahead and get to the next slide as we're processing questions and look at the meeting dates. It's going to start from the beginning. So we've gone on, planned out the meeting dates for this group. So today, our first meeting, September 23rd, and then we have November 25th, again, I'll send this out and you'll have it listed. But if you want to make note of this, ask any questions, I want to make sure we have just a few more minutes to do that. So it would be November, January, March, and the end of May. So again, as mentioned, that time commitment, we're only looking at every other month with this group. Okay, and that goes through the end of the fiscal year. Okay. So I will stop my share here and ask if are there any other things that anyone would like to add at this time? Okay, Olivia, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Not at the moment. I guess, I mean, just maybe like too late to have this like discussion, but I mean, with KY stats a little bit later to kind of get some ideas rolling. So if anyone has any like thoughts right now about like research questions that you were curious to explore, like this could be a good time to like share that. It can be big or small. I feel like I've been trying to take notes of everyone's like passion areas as y'all are talking. So I just wanted to be effective in my time with KY stats to get this stuff rolling. So I know it's kind of like a quick time to think about questions, but
I think
any
that's a
thoughts?
great idea, Olivia. I mean, 10 minutes left. Does anybody just want to share like one thought you have? If you could ask one big research question of our data system around basic needs, like what would it be?
Love that. Can we close out with that, guys?
Yeah.
One question for everybody. If you could ask one question, what would that question be?
I think, and I don't want to steal, Sarah, I think it was you that mentioned emergency aid, but I have major questions about emergency aid and the impact on retention. Both from like the campus level and like how much our campus is tracking emergency aid as a retention tool. And then at the state level, you know, because we could do so much research around looking at thresholds, like some campuses give out huge awards and other campuses just have, you know, smaller awards to give. But like, is there a threshold where, well, gosh, if you just give $350, like the students are 10 times more likely to retain, like you don't have to even give $1,000 and you bump your retention rate by 50%. You know, I'd be so many research questions around emergency aid. And I know campuses have the ability to track this at their institutional level already. Are they? Question mark. And then at the state level, we don't have the ability to track that right now unless we make some changes to how it's gathered institutionally. And we're trying to do that. And so we need to implement that change first, and then we can start tracking it at the state level. So that'd be my dream data request, Olivia.
Awesome. That would be awesome. I see we have Liz that jumped on. Hi, Liz.
Hey, Liz.
I had it at 10 o'clock, and I'm so sorry, but I wanted to show support. Yay for this group.
Thank you. Well, look, what we're closing out with is if you could ask any research question, we're sharing out what that research question related to basic needs and support for our students, what that research question would be. So Lily just shared about her interest in emergency aid and impact on retention and tracking and threshold. So that's where
Sarah
at.
or Erica, do you guys have one off the top of your head?
Well, I would like to know, I just know the students, the age of the students mostly that I work with and the students that I see walk through the door. I would like to see a breakdown of age groups and what exactly their needs are. Like to retain them, like what, I mean, what are their, what age group and what are their needs? I'm interested in that. Um, I just see a lot of students, mainly that I see are students that have failed somewhere along the way and they're just coming back. But I would just like to see a breakdown of age groups and what their needs are.
Thank you, Erica.
Now share even something that just came to mind, Erica, when you were sharing that. It sounds like students that had stopped out. So even, I would love to be able to find out of those students who have stopped out, that have been previously enrolled and that have not finished a degree or credential. What are the supports that they felt like would have kept them from having to stop out, as well as what are the supports and resources that would be needed to get them back in the classroom and retain them through the finish point?
Yes.
That's a really great question because I was looking at KY Stats' like website just now, and they did like some research on this in 2020 for like K through 12 students about like COVID challenges. So that's actually a really good question to see like what different age groups are in need of.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I can bring up today with them. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I
So-
agree with that.
I did previous work with benefits access for college completion with the Lumina Foundation, and that's actually where my position came from. And we worked with the state level to kind of see how many students were accessing these benefits and why they were not accessing the benefits. And I think with the connectors on campus now, we're going to see a huge rise in students accessing these benefits. But I know there are some barriers as far as able-bodied working adults. I don't know if that has changed, but anything around benefits and access to college completion is like a huge huge thing that I'm interested in. And I'm not sure how I would phrase the question, but I guess just accessing these benefits and how it aids in their completion, basically. But I don't know how I would actually phrase the question.
Oh, I love it, Sarah. I think it's kind of almost like a control, you're doing like a t-test kind of a thing, right? Like maybe you hold income constant and you're like, well, these students, they all got Pell Grants, but these students had benefits and these students didn't. And how was their completion rates, maybe by comparison?
Right, their EFC, compare their EFC.
Yeah.
Whatever you can.
Right.
Get.
And I'm also really interested, just to kind of like keep that train rolling, looking at the economic mobility of students, because I think that our whole value proposition, like in Kentucky, a pretty conservative state, like everything that when we talk about, we want more students on benefits, we have to kind of say so that they can complete their degree and no longer need benefits ever.
Right.
We want them to like have this economic mobility pathway to a better life and prosperity.
Yes.
And we have the data power to track that. And so that's ultimately the case that we need to make.
Yes.
And so, yes, Olivia, we need to know, how does benefits access impact completion of that post-secondary degree? But it's for ultimate workforce participation and financial self-sufficiency or family sustaining wages, or like whatever that metric is around economic mobility.
Yeah, I would always say to the students, just think of it as being temporary. It's short-term assistance for long-term success.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely.
And they really keyed in and understood that, like, okay, well, it's not going to be forever.
That's the stigma reducing language that we need. Yeah.
Yes.
Liz, we have just 2 minutes. Do you have an idea for a research question?
Sorry. See, and this is why we do this. I have a student who has just had a baby and she just came to my door crying, saying, I don't think I can do this. Oh,
Oh,
so, yeah, I mean, my research, I'm so disheveled now. It is I can't see what this person's name is in the middle, but our data is so on lockdown because we don't, to keep it anonymous, that I don't feel like we get to grapple with it enough, especially around emergency and the food pantry usage. And so I just wish we could see what those insights are so that we could better meet their needs. And what the biggest gaps are for them that could allow them to thrive in their college. Sorry, you all, now thrown off, but that, but I'm here for this group and I'll be at the next meeting for the full hour.
that's okay.
So,
Yeah, I
Thank you
think
for
that's
sharing.
that's a good point about, there's, sometimes students want that anonymity when they swipe in, or they, we got to track it first so that we can keep the food pantry stocked,
Yeah.
but there's the stigma around it that we're trying to fight, so that
yeah,
it's a double-edged kind of a thing,
yeah, grants like won't let us. And
Yeah.
if we can't collect that data.
Oh, I see.
I feel
That
like-
side of it. Interesting.
Yeah, or we can't keep the partnership. So,
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
work to be done.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Great question, Olivia. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you all for the feedback. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
And I'm meeting them at 1 o'clock. So if you have any other questions that pop up, shoot me an email and I will make note of that. So thank you.
Thank you all.
All right.
For being here with us this morning. I'm going to send out this recording and the slides to the email listing for the guiding team. And we look forward to seeing you all at the next meeting. If you have questions or anything, feel free to shoot me an email. We can schedule a time to hop on a call, or we could just communicate via email. Have a great Monday, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.